Hello YouTube, my name's Jayden, and together with Nikhil, we form Revision 9. In this video, I'm going to be doing a breakdown of our new game, BLASTR Arena. BLASTR Arena is a non-violent arena shooter built with web technologies such as WebGL and HTML5 canvas. This game runs on Pokey, which is basically a wrapper service which takes games built with web technologies and can package them into a desktop application. We'll talk about that a bit later. Right now, let's get into the game. So, this game was built using HTML5, CSS and some JavaScript to make use of some great new web technologies that exist called WebGL, which basically lets you run 3D graphics such as you can see right now in the browser, as well as Canvas. Canvas is basically a canvas. You can do whatever you want with it. That's how the 2D visuals are drawn in the game and all that cool stuff. This is the first game, the first full game rather, that Nikhil and myself have built in JavaScript. So, because this is an exciting new frontier and we're using exciting new technologies, we wanted to build some exciting features into it. So, apart from the fact that it's a full game, we've got some extra cool things in here, such as 2D to 3D graphics switching. This is particularly useful for us because not all computers can run WebGL. In particular, computers from sort of 2005 to 2006. Because WebGL is such a new technology, not all graphics cards will support it. As a result, our game can do live 2D to 3D graphics switching. I'll play a game in 2D right now. In the previous video, Nikhil showed you a 3D game. This is a 2D game. It looks, if you've watched the previous video, you'll see it looks pretty similar. I'll launch into a 3D game in a minute for those of you that haven't seen it as well. Now the reason, like I said before, not all computers can support WebGL, so this allows pretty much all computers from all the ages to run BLASTR Arena, which makes it a really light game on your hardware and really fun. So I'll just jump out and switch back over to 3D because it's more visually striking, we shall say. So we're back in 3D, and as you can see, other little sort of visual cues occur when you do the graphics switching. For example, the menu changed from a 2D to 3D menu. This is just sort of to give you a feeling of it and some extra immersion. Something else which we did was make use of the full screen API, which was really useful to us because it allowed us to take fundamentally a web-based game and give it the same feature set as a desktop game, which was a really great move forward. So some of the things we did for user experience, which was really important, was just trying to think here what we did. Some of the things we did which were crucial for user experience were ways we handled enemies and game difficulty. So basically, you're here on this arena and you've got to run around, you've got to get to the ball, you've got to shoot the ball into the goal, and you've got to avoid the holes or the power tiles, and you've got to run away from the bomb bots. First we'll talk about the bomb bots. The bomb bots are these orange spheres which I'm highlighting with my cursor. They basically, their job is to get in the way and just to make your day a little bit more miserable. Or sorry, I should say challenging. The aim of the game is to obviously make your day more interesting, not miserable, so there you go. Now, the bomb bots can have one of two states. They can either be calm, as this one here is, or they can be annoyed. When they're annoyed, they go for you and they're spinning like this one here, and when they're calm, they go for the ball. Either way, they explode and whatever is in their blast radius gets pushed away, so they're really just there to be inconvenient and provide a bit of variation for the game experience. The second mechanic, which was here to increase difficulty and provide some variation, was the arena tiles. As you can see, basically the floor is spinning around and doing cool stuff and revealing some different colors. An orange tile is a magnetic tile, which basically means that when you move over it, it slows your movement down. When you move over a glass tile, which is this one here, it actually sort of, it basically does what the name suggests, which it lets you slippery slide across it. The way which the bomb bots and the tiles interact with each other creates a really interesting game mechanic as far as AI is concerned, and creates quite an interesting play experience. So the bomb bots, obviously, there's another tile type which is a hole. I'll just start a new game so we can continue on our adventures. There's another tile type which is a hole, where basically is where the tile gets lifted out of the arena and you can fall through it. To make life simpler for you, the ball is actually hovering, so it's impervious to holes. However, the player and the bomb bots aren't. So a player can obviously, as you are controlling it, can very easily dodge a hole. But to do bomb bots, you've got to use a bit of trickery to get it to work. So we've put together some pathfinding and some sort of terrain detection into a neat little package which we've called Region and Terrain Area Detection for the bomb bots. This basically means that they look at the arena, they figure out where their goal is, be it the player or the ball, and they figure out where the holes are, and then they go for it based on where the holes are. So they figure out where they're not supposed to move. However, they don't look at where magnetic or ice tiles are. So this means that there's a chance that if a bomb bot hits an ice tile, they can end up slippery sliding into a hole and then die. This is to give it some more human-like interaction, since there's a bit of a difference between a perfect player and a realistic player. So by doing that, and by actually preventing some detection in the bomb bot pathfinding, you create a more realistic player. We'll go through, like I said before, this game uses WebGL to do its 3D. And that's really exciting because that's a new technology. So not only is this our first game which we built in JavaScript, but as a result we've decided to pack in as much cool stuff as we possibly can. So apart from 2D to 3D graphical switching, which I think this is probably incorrect. We gave it some initials. I think we called it DPPS or something. I completely forget what that stands for, but you can imagine it's something cool. So then we've just got sort of change the music volume, and then after that we've got screen resolution settings. As far as user experience goes, you're in full screen right now, but if I try to go to change our screen size, it'll pop us back out of full screen into windowed mode, as you can see right there. And you can change the screen size to fit your screen. So for example, if you're in the office and don't want your boss to see you playing a nice fun game of BLASTR Arena, you'll probably make it a nice tiny size so that if he comes past you probably won't see your whole screen lighting up with tons of colors. If you've got a really sort of super beefy computer, you can make it full, like sort of full window sized, and then you can go even bigger and make it full screen. So then we also, down here, we've also got standard and high definition graphics, which is basically the resolution at which the 3D renders at. Now, one of the reasons why we included graphical settings was to try and give it that extra immersion. It's built with web technology, so technically speaking it's a web game. However, because it's being run offline, we wanted to make it as close to a desktop game as possible, whilst maintaining the mobility and usability of a web game. So basically that means it's really light, it's only about 20 megabytes to download, and it's also really responsive, so it's nice and quick on your computer, and you can change the graphic settings to make it more responsive or more pretty, depending on what you have as far as specs go. And it's also sort of, we tried to get it as close to a desktop feeling game as possible. Next thing which I want to talk to you about a little bit is bugs. Now, these two bugs I'm going to mention aren't actually bugs with our game, but if you play it, you'll come across them in the game. So, Nikhil and myself, managed to squash basically all the game bugs, so you won't find any bugs in the game which are our fault. However, there are two in particular which you will come across, which are unfortunately unavoidable. They're both actually issues with the technology that runs the game. So, as I said before, this game is run using a wrapper service, I'll call it, called Pokey. Pokey is basically this little service that, as you can see, I've got tons of games here from it running on my taskbar. It basically takes a web page or some HTML, CSS and JavaScript that you give it and packages it into a nice little desktop application that you can run on your taskbar. So see here, I just click away and the app's gone. This is really good because it creates that sort of, you can jump into the game, you can jump straight out of it, so it makes it really quick and easy to play. That gives it that light feeling which we're looking for. However, it also allows us to maintain a sense of immersion because you can get into the game really quickly. So basically all the apps live on your taskbar, and you can sort of pop into it here. This is a little color picker app which I use to get a lot of the hex values for the game, for some of the game colors. And it's got a little store here which you click the acorn, I'm not sure what an acorn is, an acorn icon maybe. Anyway, the reason I'm showing you this is because this is the technology which is running BLASTR on your desktop, and this technology is based off a browsing engine called Chromium. Now, Chromium is the same engine which is running Google Chrome, and if anyone's ever used Google Chrome, they'll know it's a very light and fast browser, and it's really great to repurpose it for this sort of application. However, Google Chrome has got sorry, not Google Chrome. Chromium has got two big flaws in it that really sort of hindered our experience as developers. So I'll just reiterate, this isn't a problem with Pokey. This is a problem with Chromium, and in the future some of these issues are actually already being noted as about to be rectified, so maybe by the time you watch this video you won't even know what we're talking about, which would be good. So fingers crossed. The first problem which we noticed is an audio bug, which basically means that while you're playing the game, you know, you're having some fun, shooting robots and scoring goals and listening to the sarcastic commentary, you'll notice that all of a sudden your audio just drops. The reason for this is because Chromium sometimes will just kick audio support for absolutely no reason. It'll just, literal audio will crash, which means that not only will sound mute in our game, but if you have any other Pokey applications running on your taskbar, they'll also lose sound. So this isn't a fault of our game, but it means that while you're playing, the sound has a possibility that it'll just drop out. This is a bit of a downer for us because the sound was one of the big things that created a level of immersion, and just to have it go was a bit of a problem because a lot of your feedback is obviously done through audio, not just visuals. Audio cues help to show you something in particular in a very busy visual environment such as this. That's the first bug. Now the second bug is a problem with Chromium, but it goes a little bit deeper than that. I'll give you a bit of a back history. Chromium is in turn based off, so Chromium is a browsing engine, but Chromium is in turn based off another browsing engine called WebKit. Anyone who's got an iPhone will know of Safari. Safari, the desktop version at the very least, is run off WebKit. So Google Chrome is based off Chromium, which is in turn based off WebKit. Now in WebKit, it's got a particular problem where if you mash the keyboard and the mouse at the same time, WebKit will decide that a key you are in fact not pressing is currently pressed, which means that for absolutely no reason at all, your player will start to drift across the screen like that. The reason this is a problem is because you won't be holding down any keys, but all of a sudden your player has just decided to take control of itself. To rectify this issue, all you have to do is just press down the last key you pressed and your player will be back under your control. This is a problem, however, because both the bugs I just mentioned, we can't actually check for it in game code, and the only way to determine whether or not the bug has happened is if you're an outside observer looking at the game and all of a sudden realize that your audio's gone, or all of a sudden realize that you can't control your player properly anymore. So we unfortunately can't do anything about it at this stage. However, we are of course actively looking for some solutions for you guys. So in the future as well, when Chromium 17 has come out actually, which fixes the audio issue. So once that gets pushed to Pokey, that issue will be gone, but we're still left with the keyboard and mouse issue. So as we said, you will notice this bug almost definitely, but this isn't something which we can actually fix, unfortunately, because it's buried so deep in the browsing engine, not in fact the game. And unfortunately that means that the Chromium developers probably can't do too much to fix it either. In fact, we've got to go all the way back to WebKit and wait for them to sort it out. So when you do come across this bug, just sit tight, just mash the keys again and your player should become unstuck. We've provided some little helpful hints for these bugs in the top left hand corner, as you can see, top left to center of the menu screen, as well as some other little pointers to help you along with the game if you notice these bugs. I think that's about all I wanted to talk about today. So thank you very much for giving us your time and attention. If you'd like to give BLASTR Arena a go, the download link will be in the description, along with some links for our blog and Twitter. If you guys want to comment or give us any feedback, that's absolutely fine and we'd love to hear from you. Anyway, thanks very much for your time, and I hope you enjoy BLASTR Arena.